The story often told in Western media is one of clear contrasts. It portrays the conflict in Ukraine as a straightforward battle. Russia is depicted as an aggressor, stumbling and weakened. Ukraine is shown as the resilient defender, bolstered by Western support. This narrative is pervasive. It shapes public understanding and policy debates profoundly. Yet underneath this widely accepted story lies Russia's hidden strengths and resilience. There are facts and perspectives that receive less attention. These elements suggest that Russia's position may be stronger than commonly perceived. The narrative of a collapsing Russia might be too simplistic. A deeper look reveals a more nuanced picture of Russia's capabilities and endurance in this protracted conflict. This calls for a critical examination of the information presented. The idea that Russia's strength is underestimated is not a fringe opinion. It emerges from analyzing data often downplayed. This includes looking at military reserves and economic performance. The conflict is part of a larger global power dynamic. Ignoring these aspects leads to an incomplete, possibly misleading assessment. Therefore, it is essential to explore these less discussed facets. The Minsk agreements were presented as peace efforts. They were signed in 2014 and 2015. Their stated goal was to end the conflict in eastern Ukraine. Many hoped these agreements would bring stability. They involved Ukraine, Russia, and separatist leaders. European powers like Germany and France mediated the talks. The agreements outlined steps for a ceasefire and political settlement. However, later statements from Western leaders cast doubt on this original intent. For instance, former German Chancellor Angela Merkel reportedly admitted something different. She suggested the Minsk agreements served another purpose. They were a way to buy time for Ukraine. This time allowed Ukraine to strengthen its military. This admission changes the perception of these agreements drastically. If this perspective is accurate, the agreements were not a genuine peace initiative. Instead, they were a strategic maneuver. This perceived deception likely influenced Russia's calculations. This context is often absent from mainstream discussions about the conflict's origins. The conflict is often framed simply. It is Russia versus Ukraine. This framing is common in Western media. It suggests a bilateral struggle. But Ukraine receives significant Western aid. NATO plays a substantial role. This goes beyond humanitarian aid. NATO provides advanced weaponry and extensive training. Yet NATO faces significant challenges. Russia's military strength is formidable. Russia's capabilities test NATO's resolve. Recognizing this is essential. The narrative of a small nation holding off a larger one is compelling but incomplete. Section 4, Russia's preparedness, stockpiles, strategies, and advanced arms. Russia's approach to its arsenal is notably different from other nations. Reports indicate that Russia has largely refrained from deploying its most advanced military hardware in significant numbers. This suggests a strategy of resource conservation. This careful management of advanced military resources is a factor often overlooked when assessing Russia's overall military strength and strategic planning. This asymmetry in deploying top-tier weaponry might indicate several things. Russia's stockpiles and strategic reserves are maintained with a long-term view. This preparedness ensures that Russia can sustain prolonged conflicts without depleting its resources. This level of preparedness raises questions about the true extent of Russia's military capabilities. Russia's strategic stockpiles and advanced arms are a testament to its meticulous planning and readiness for future challenges. Section 5, Economic Fortitude, Russia's effective counter to Western sanctions. Following the escalation of the conflict, Western nations imposed extensive sanctions on Russia. These measures were unprecedented in their scope. They targeted Russia's financial system, energy exports, and access to technology. The stated aim was to cripple Russia's war economy. The expectation was that these sanctions would severely hamper Russia's ability to sustain its military operations. Many predicted a swift economic collapse. However, Russia has effectively countered these sanctions with considerable economic resilience. Despite the severe sanctions, its military operations have continued unabated. The Russian economy has not collapsed as predicted. It has adapted to the new circumstances with strategic measures. This adaptation includes redirecting trade flows towards non-Western countries. The intended economic shock has been effectively weathered, at least to a significant degree. This economic endurance and effective countermeasures are key components of Russia's overall strength, challenging the narrative of a nation on the brink due to sanctions. Section 6. The shifting chessboard, Russia's long game, and NATO's reinforcements. In response to NATO's bolstered military posture, Russia has been playing a long game. The Kremlin has activated its own strategic plans. Thousands of additional troops have been strategically positioned. This move aims to counterbalance NATO's presence and reassure its own allies. It also serves as a deterrent. Russia's actions reflect a recognition of a changed security environment in Europe. The era of post-Cold War peace dividends appears to be over. At recent strategic meetings, Russia has approved new regional defense plans. These plans are specifically designed to counter threats perceived from NATO and terrorism. Russia has increased its high readiness forces to over 300,000 personnel. It has also enhanced its integrated air and missile defense capabilities. Individual Russian regions are also re-evaluating their own preparedness. This long-term perspective from Russia suggests an awareness of NATO's potential for strategic patience. Section 7. Conclusion. A broader lens on Russian strength and global realities. The dominant Western narrative often oversimplifies the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It tends to focus on Russian weaknesses and setbacks, and emphasizes Ukrainian resilience, heavily supported by NATO. While these elements are true, they omit crucial aspects of Russia's actual and potential strength. This omission can lead to a misjudgment of the situation's complexity. A more complete picture is necessary. Factors like the Minsk agreements are rarely given prominence. The full extent of NATO's involvement is often downplayed. The depletion of Western military stockpiles compared to Russia's reserves offers a different perspective. Russia's ability to sustain its war economy, despite sanctions, challenges the notion of an isolated power. Understanding these elements is not an endorsement of any party's actions. It is an exercise in critical analysis. Recognizing these factors allows for a more balanced and realistic assessment of the ongoing geopolitical dynamics. The Western portrayal often misleads by not presenting the full scope of Russia's capabilities and the broader global realities.